Don't mistake Invincible for a Saturday morning superhero cartoon. IO Interactive's getting ready to engage a new kind of agent. And I've got some thoughts on Denzel Washington's The Little Things. All that and the latest and everything cool today in the Rundown. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Today's episode is dedicated to our buddy David West, who dug my cheeky comment about Vicarious Visions selling their soul to the devil yesterday. Now, Amazon's got a brand new animated superhero show, but you don't want to show it to the kids. Amazon Prime Video's new animated series Invincible starts on March 26th, and they've dropped a trailer, a little teaser trailer, and a scene from the show, and it looks fantastic. It's based on Robert Kirkman's long-running comic series that he makes with Cory Walker and Ryan Ottley. It's an awesome comic if you've never read it. And just like Kirkman's The Walking Dead, which of course he's had wild success with, Invincible is meant for adult entertainment consumers. It is darker than you think it is. It looks like it's a teen angst coming-of-age superhero show akin to something that we might see from the Spider-Verse, but this is not to be mistaken for Disney's spectacular Spider-Man. It gets pretty heavy and pretty dark, and you get a couple of glimpses of how heavy the show might go in this little teaser bit here. It's filled with really cool surprises and twists, so I don't want to spoil anything, at least the story that I know from the comic series. And of course what they did with the Walking Dead television programming is they shifted things around so that it kept comic readers a little bit surprised. So I expect that's what Amazon Prime Video is going to do with the animated show for Invincible. But you can kind of think of Invincible as almost like a sister series to some of the stuff that's in The Boys. It might not be that sinister and that dark and depraved as The Boys is, but the Invincible story does have some pretty remarkable stuff that happens. The cast is fantastic in the show. Speaking of The Walking Dead, Stephen Yeun plays Mark Grayson, Invincible. J.K. Simmons is playing his father, Nolan Grayson. Sandra Oh is in it. Mark Hamill. Seth Rogen has got a part, and it's interesting, Seth Rogen was attached to make a film version of Invincible. I don't know if he's a producer or how he's involved with this, but of course Seth Rogen is a producer on The Boys, and he also produced the Preacher TV series, so he's got his finger on the pulse of fantastic comic entertainment out there. Jillian Jacobs is in this show. Zazie Beetz. A whole cast of really eclectic and fun talent is going to be a part of this. I can't wait for this show. Comes out on March 26th, and Amazon Prime Video, you know, we don't talk too much about some of the moves that they're making, but The Boys was a blockbuster smash success. I don't know if you've caught that show yet, but it's phenomenal. I also love The Expanse, which is one of my favorite sci-fi shows ever. Tales from the Loop is actually pretty darn cool. I'm really looking forward to seeing this one, though. Invincible is definitely high on my must-watch list. Let me know what you think. Have you read the comic series? Don't spoil anything, okay, in the comments below. But have you read the comics are amazing. The Walking Dead gets all the attention, but the Invincible series is amazing. I can't stress that enough. But don't spoil anything for people that have not read any Invincible, okay? Promise me? All right, let's move on to another adaptation. We've got some news on IO Interactive's upcoming James Bond game. Fresh off the success of launching Hitman 3, new details are starting to trickle out about Project 007. This is the IO Interactive developed James Bond game that they're producing in partnership with Eon Productions. And apparently they charmed Barbara Broccoli, who is in charge of the whole James Bond franchise, with some very innovative ideas here. Now, what we know about this James Bond game is that it's going to be an origin tale, and it's going to kind of tell people how this character becomes James Bond. It's going to use the Hitman engine, which is pretty good news for people that have been playing Hitman. There always has been this really interesting correlation with the way Agent 47 handles his missions and how you could mentally place James Bond into some of these situations, especially when you consider all of the exotic locales that they always send Agent 47 to. It's very easy to kind of think, hey, James Bond could almost fit in this crowd that 47 is walking through. Well, it looks like that's what's going to happen. It also looks like there's going to be a pretty big crowd of people at IO Interactive. They're planning on growing their team. They're currently sitting at around 200 people. They're probably over that now, but they're doubling in size, basically, in their studios in Copenhagen, Denmark. So I can't wait to see how this all comes together for this company. I think it's a perfect fit. There's always been a stylishness to the way that the Hitman games have come together. I've been really enjoying playing Hitman 3, by the way. It is a blast. I'm about halfway through all of the missions, and of course what we know about the Hitman games is that You can go in with all kinds of ideas of how you're going to accomplish the objectives and complete your missions, but all hell can break loose and you could be pursued and chased, and it just feels Bondian. It feels very 007-like. So I think it was a fantastic move on Eon Productions' part to partner with IO Interactive. It just feels like a hand-in-glove type situation. And the other big part of the news that's been trickling out is that the James Bond that's going to be in this game will not be based on any of the actors that are out there. So we won't see Pierce Brosnan, we won't see Daniel Craig. I wonder if there will be mods, face mods or downloadable content or something like that will allow you to place your favorite Bond into these situations. That could be interesting. But obviously this game is going to take a while to come together. And in the meantime, No Time to Die, the next James Bond movie, which has just been delayed to October, is the last time that Daniel Craig will play the character. So, of course, there's going to be this whole casting apparatus that's happening during the development phase of this game. So things could change, and obviously we don't want a James Bond game to play exactly like Hitman, but it does feel like a perfect developer scenario. As a big fan of the Hitman games and an even bigger fan of the James Bond franchise, I cannot wait to see how this all comes together. Now, I also happen to be an enormous fan of Denzel Washington, and I had a chance to check out The Little Things. As part of the lead-up to the launch of the movie, Warner Brothers shot me out a code to review The Little Things, starring Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto, and it's a pretty slick-looking film for sure. It's directed by John Lee Hancock, who also wrote the script, and it's set in 1990s Los Angeles. There's a serial killer on the loose, and Deke, played by Denzel Washington, is an ex-LAPD cop who has moved to Kern County, and he gets drawn back into this drama because it has ties to a case from his past. He encounters a slick LAPD detective played by Rami Malek, who is very good in front of the camera and plays things by the book, and he has the respect of the whole department. Meanwhile, Deke has got some baggage, and he's carrying that around with him. And as the movie mystery starts to unravel, we get to get a closer examination into the darkness that is brewing inside of Deke. And it's pretty cool. Jared Leto plays a very interesting character, Albert Sparma, and he plays it big. He's got a fake nose and greasy hair and kind of wild eyes and an interesting accent and an interesting physicality about him. He's definitely swinging for the fences with the performance, and it's fun to watch him on screen, particularly with the nuance that Denzel Washington always brings to his roles, and the puffing of the chest that we see out of Rami Malek's character. So there's an interesting triangle that's happening there between these three different characters when they're on screen together, and there are some pretty cool moments. This is also a movie that's steeped in kind of a 90s, it's like an ethos that permeates throughout the film. You can feel the 90s-ness of it. It's not just about costumes and music and setting. It's the way it's shot and filmed. It feels like a movie out of time. It doesn't feel like a 2021 movie, and I believe that's all deliberate. The lighting, the pacing, the mumbling that's happening a little bit between the characters. I actually liked all of that. I thought it was pretty evocative and a pretty gutsy choice with the movie. But like a lot of movies that came out around that time period, particularly after David Fincher's Seven, there was always this move to kind of shock and surprise us. And that often happens with mystery films, and this is definitely a mystery psychological thriller type film. There is a huge third act twist that happens, and it is such a ridiculous risk for this movie, which I think really works hard to kind of create a sense of realism and believability in the moments and in the scenes and the characters, and then all of a sudden all of that is jettisoned for this twist, and it kills the movie. I hate to say it, but it took me right out of it, and I just could not invest any more belief into it or any more real commitment into it. And it's such a shame because there's some good work all the way along, and the movie just doesn't end the way that it deserved to end. All of that work, all of that star power, all of that clout, all of that effort, and then it's like a balloon gets popped at the end. So I'm not going to spoil that, but I was very disappointed, and it's unfortunate because, obviously this is an important movie to Warner Brothers and to HBO Max because it's going to be part of the HBO Max collection of films launching day and date theatrically and on the service. And talk about incredible actors to be in a project, that is going to be part of your streaming service. But yeah, it just didn't do it for me. So on the reviews on the run scale, I'd give The Little Things a 5.5 out of 10. All right, I've got a couple of other little things to tell you about. First of all, we've got some new downloadable content coming to Animal Crossing, which is focused on a festival event. So it's got a little Mardi Gras / Rio Carnival kind of feel. Everybody's partying. There are some feathers to be captured, some dances to be pulled off, and some new, reactions and emotions to show off. There's new clothing and new seasonal items, and that looks pretty damn cute. But what was cool about the little teaser for this DLC is that coming up in March, there's going to be Mario-themed content coming to Animal Crossing, so very much looking forward to that. And the other thing is that Haven, which I quite enjoyed when I checked that out on the Xbox Series X, it's also out for PlayStation 5. Well, it's coming to PlayStation 4, to that platform, because right now it's exclusive to PS5. Interesting, right? So it's coming to PS4, the Epic Game Store, and Nintendo Switch on February 4th. It's a very Journey-esque indie adventure game with some really cool art and an interesting story about partnership and working together and the relationship of this couple. But some really nice elements in this game, and I quite enjoyed it when I checked it out. So look for that if you're into some fun indie adventure. All right, that's going to do it for our rundown today. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode for you. Thank you for subscribing to the channel if you dig this content. Thank you for becoming an EPN member. We'll see you tomorrow. And until then, play forever.